There are many aspects of a knife maker's work that make it instantly recognisable. I'd like to think that one area of my work that makes it instantly recognisable as Wessex Blades is my leather work. So making a beautiful and resilient sheath sets it apart from a bog standard factory made sheath that you can buy as a pattern part. This allows the customer to have his own flavour put into it of his own custom tooling. That's one element. But let's just go through some features now that I want to share with you so you get a better idea of what goes into a custom knife sheath. So it all starts with some veg tan leather. I use 3mm, 3.2mm, very thick stuff that I've sourced from a supplier that I trust. I've also gone direct to the tanners in Bristol, hand picked the leather, so that when you look on the flesh side, which is the rough fluffy side, there's hardly any imperfections. And when you look on the good side, which is the shiny side, you want it as perfect as you possibly can. That's the start. And once you've got that leather, now you can wet form it with water or dye it your own colour any way that you want to do it. This particular model has an overflap that protects the knife from the weather and from brambles, so it's covered over the top like that. The double welt on medium to large blades, and it gives a lot of strength to the sheath and makes it very rigid. It allows the blade to not cut the edges of the sheath as it rolls round. It would rather bite into the thick wads of leather in the welt. The rigidity of the sheath stops it from distorting too much, and it keeps the sheath being a protective element to save you from getting damaged by the blade. Having a double welt also allows a very nice teardrop shape there inside the entrance of where the blade goes in, and you always get a nice push fit to friction fit blades as it goes in. And each sheath is moulded to each knife. It's not a one size fit all theory to handmade sheaths and knives. They're either wet moulded or they're actually made and stitched so they fit that particular type of knife or that thickness of handle. Generally I do a double row of stitching, and that gives it such a massive amount of strength through that double welt. And the stitches are lock stitched, not saddle stitch. Saddle stitch means the thread just passes through once and then pulled tight. I pass the needle through and then through the other side, 2 loops, which creates like a knot, and then you pull the knot into where the double welt is, so that each stitch at every point is locked in. Then on the back, when you look at the belt loop, I don't make holes across the belt loop, either on the top bit there as it loops over or on the bottom edge there. From a saddler's point of view, you want the strength of the loop. You don't want to put holes in it that way because it just would weaken the strap. So my patterns that I do are either loops or they're crisscrosses, so there's not a series of holes going across the belt loop like that when it joins onto the sheath. It just weakens the strap. Then what I do is I make a lock stitch all the way up and there to there, and then I return back through the same stitch holes again, so effectively it's double stitched as well. So it's lock stitched up, saddle stitch back, and then a return of 3 stitches. That's in there forever. The holes themselves are not drilled all the way through. What I use are pricking irons that force a diamond shaped hole and just tease the fibres of the leather apart rather than removing a lot of material. This is what makes an heirloom quality leather sheath that's going to last decades if looked after. So an heirloom quality piece of equipment that's going to protect your knife for decades to come. I use solid brass cast Ds, not split link, so these are in one piece. Just adds to the quality. It doesn't look cheap and nasty. These are proper bridle quality for horse harnesses, strong as anything, top quality. Many of my customers choose a Nordic Dangler. It just allows a more flexible wearing. If you sit in a chair at a campfire, you can move the blade out of the way, move the sheath, so you can sit down in a chair easier. It gives you a little bit more flexibility, or you can take the loop off and just wear it through the belt loop as a normal belt loop, and then as belt carry it stays more securely on your belt and doesn't swing around as much. So there's two different types of the belt loop that I do. Right, let's get serious. Custom tooling. So this is what I like to think sets me apart from a lot of custom makers, in the fact that I do a more considered design on the sheath rather than an impression or a die has been pressed in, which this is a maker's mark, totally fine. It gives the maker his identity. What I can then do on top of that maker's mark, if the customer wanted, I can do a personalised design on the sheath, coloured or monotone, and it can be a lovely relief, a Spartan helmet, a dragon, Viking styles, or in this case for Ralph it's a Prussian eagle. Yeah. And then to stop dirt and moisture getting into the edges of the sheath, I then slick and treat the edge so it's got a nice smooth formed down edge, and that protects the lever and the sheath in general from any ingress in dirt and water. Sometimes you want a custom ferro rod, so I can put a pouch on the side, a little simple tube, and your matching ferro rod can live in there. Just makes it look like a more complete system for your knife. And then that customer has a custom blade, ferro rod. Sometimes I can do piggybacks, a large blade, a smaller blade, all fitting in one belt carry system. So for any aspects of that were new to you, or you've learned something, do let me know in the comments beneath. And now if you could share that anywhere, that'd be wonderful. So thanks for joining me, Scott Wessex Blades out. Just a little insight, give you a few bits of information on custom leather sheaths for knives.